Hold on.
Romana Didulo.
Hang on, I'm getting the some of the news bites up and ready. Just pretend that music's playing in the background. Hi, everybody. It's Artie of Artie's Corporate Fiction. How you guys doing? I'm well aware that there is an alleged sports ball game happening. I do not care. I do not care, and I don't want to care. We're not talking about sports ball. We're talking about the Queen of Canada getting hooked up. How about that? There we go. So it finally happened, chat. After she's been out there, they're probably going to tell us in the news source. It's like, so if you guys don't know who the Queen of Canada is, I don't even know if this is actually her real name, but she goes by Romana Didulo. She's originally from Vietnam, but had been in Canada for like 50 years or something like that. Declared herself Queen of Canada back during COVID, during the COVID years, and has basically ran a sovereign citizens cult. For the last several years now. She has tried everything from declaring that she's the true commander-in-chief of the Canadian Armed Forces, issuing decrees and warrants and all that good stuff, declaring, you know, Canadian money is fake money, like the whole shebang. But a couple years ago, she and a group of like 20 to 30 of her cohorts took over an abandoned schoolhouse in a tiny little town in I think it was Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, Canada, and had been like hanging out there, Richmond, for the last year plus. Till now, apparently, a couple of days ago, she got hooked up. And I do have, I think I do have the clip of her getting hooked up inside the compound. But we're going to go through some of the news updates. The problem is that I guess I don't know the full details as to why the call was made. My understanding is that people were worried of them having weapons on the compound when they hooked them. However, when they hooked them up, the police confiscated 3 replica handguns. We don't know if there's any more significant charges coming in, but I guess we'll find out together. But this is crazy news because they as in Canada have been allowing her to just hang out there in that abandoned building for over a year without nothing.
Didulo is the alleged leader of a cult that's been living in a Saskatchewan village for the past 2 years. Didulo live streamed her arrest.
Leave the phone down. You're under arrest.
All right.
So yeah, this is like, honestly, I'm kind of creeped out. This is like straight out of like Live Leak of circa 2007, 144p quality of what's going on here. So kind of scary.
Hey, leave the phone down.
Okay.
Police took her into custody at a former school in Richmond, where Didulo and her group have been living and broadcasting online. 15 other people were also arrested. No charges have been laid at this hour. Didulo is known for promoting conspiracy theories, and her followers have disrupted local residents since arriving in that community. The village office closed its doors to the public in July outside of prearranged appointments, citing harassment and intimidation towards staff. I want to bring in Mac Lamoureux. He is an investigative reporter and a former Vice News senior journalist, and he's been following Didulo's activity for years now. We've reached him in Victoria. Thank you so much, Mac, for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, this is for a lot of us who have not heard about this. This is a kind of a fascinating story. You were listening to the RCMP update earlier today and the arrest of Didulo and the 15 others. Mm-hmm. How significant is today's arrest, given how much you have followed this story?
Well, the arrest is quite a significant update on the story. I suppose after seeing the size of the police action, I was expecting to see a bit more than just 4 replica firearms being seized.
Kind of true. I mean, the RCMP, based on that grainy footage, looked like they were kitted out. Pretty hardcore.
But it's still early on, and charges could still be laid. So we'll wait and see what comes from it. I suppose I understand why they took such dramatic measures. We had several RCMP teams moving.
But I also understand the point. I mean, last week we had the Australian Savsit murder 2 police officers over there. So, of course, if there's going to be an arrest or mass arrest of a significant Savsit faction, I think it's expected that they would be very cautious.
In on the compound this morning at 4:30. Police,
as far as I know, yes,
like it from the live stream, with long arms and almost full military regalia, swept the compound and got everybody out. And I understand why they took such dramatic measures, as it's a pretty secretive group that's deeply entrenched in what could easily be described as a compound, and firearms were reported there. So I understand why they would be nervous.
Yeah, so what they said, though, I think, was that this investigation, it started August 25th, was really sparked by reports that there was a single firearm, perhaps, inside. And as you point out, in the end, what they found were 4, 1 in the building and 3 in various vehicles. But the police response going in was, no one, I've not seen pictures of it, but just from the description, we're talking about vehicles, drones, tactical vehicles as well.
Again, I don't necessarily blame the RCMP. Again, I don't think it's just about a single firearm. I know that's going to be the meme that people are going to make a hay about. It's going to be about, these are hardcore sovereign citizens. They've known about them. They're cultists. And they just have dealt with a Savsit who murdered 2 police officers in another Commonwealth nation in Australia, like just the week prior. Jake, I'm thinking Waco. So I don't blame them at all for making a big hay about this whatsoever.
More than 30 vehicles in total here. When you say you can understand why, because they are known for promoting conspiracy, what do you mean by you can understand why they would go in with that kind of force?
Well, what they're dealing with right now is a lot of unknowns. Inside the school, they don't know exactly what the cult is doing. It's very secretive inside there. If they do get reports of firearms, they don't necessarily know how many they may have.
And also, yes, they made overt threats against public officials as well. I mean, that's also not secret at all.
Behind there. So I just think what I'm saying there is that there were just a lot of...
I believe Ms. Didulo has issued execution decrees against, public officials in Canada for years now.
unknowns, and they were just mitigating the risk the best they could. From what I can tell from their presser, that there was no incident involved in the arrests. Everybody went peacefully, and other than kind of the dramatic nature of it, it went quite well.
So Didulo is known as the Queen of Canada, and the cult we're talking about is the Kingdom of Canada. I don't know much about this cult. Are they? Is it known for violence, or is it primarily conspiracy theories?
It's certainly much more focused on conspiracy theories. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are known for their violence. They've had violent episodes in the past, particularly when a few years ago they tried to arrest.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad he's going to mention it. He's going to mention the attempted arrest by their followers of the Peterborough Police Department that we covered back in 2022.
Entire police precinct in Peterborough. That went kind of exactly as you think it would go. Most of them got arrested. Romana's rhetoric has certainly been violent in the past. She's called for violence against healthcare workers, particularly during the COVID pandemic. And that sort of thing, she has been picked up by the RCMP to do a wellness check after making kind of threats. But overall, the group isn't necessarily violent. The harm that comes from this group very much comes from a financial and interpersonal level.
Based on what you know of this cult and what you know of Romana Didulo, what happens if there are no charges? She's released, her followers are released. What do you imagine goes forward for this tiny village?
Well, yeah, if there are no charges, then I would hope that she's released, but I would hope that there will be charges.
Of Richmond, Saskatchewan.
Well, I expect them to
So Theo, thank you for the 20 gifted memberships.
Return to the school in Richmond, and I am very interested on what happens if that does occur, because there have been tensions, as you noted earlier, between the locals and the school. The locals have held several protests. The cult, in some ways, have actually threatened public executions at times against these people that are protesting them. And sorry, I cut out there for a second. But these...
Sorry, you were saying you're interested to see what happens, that you expect they will go back to the school.
You okay?
Yeah, I expect that they'll most likely go back to the school. This is the best thing that has happened to the cult. Prior to this, they were driving around Canada, touring, going from essentially box store, like a Walmart parking lot, to other parking lots, and holding really small, little meet and greets with their followers. Now they have actual infrastructure. They have something that they can actually build out of. They're not going to give that up easily. So if there are charges, the police could tie in clauses that mean that they can't return to the school with those charges.
I already mentioned it, Theo.
But if there are none, likely they will return there. And then the tensions between them and the school will be interesting to see what happens if this exasperates them or not.
Mac, really fascinating to speak to you and to get your insight.
Sure, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
On this, given how much I know you have followed this cult. That is Mac Lamoureux, an investigative reporter joining us from Victoria, BC. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Let's see, what do we got here?
This morning at approximately 4:30 a.m., Saskatchewan RCMP executed a search warrant in Richmond, Saskatchewan. It was a privately owned, decommissioned school inhabited by a group of individuals. The search warrant was obtained after we received a report of an individual occupying...
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I think a member of the cult owned that abandoned school. That's right. That's why they couldn't kick him out. I think that's what it was.
Building was in possession of a firearm. That report was received on August 25th, 2025. After receiving this report, Saskatchewan RCMP began an extensive investigation. This included careful monitoring of any risk to public safety and to the community of Richmond. A team of skilled and experienced senior officers was established to oversee this large and complex operation. This response was made up of RCMP officers from throughout the province, including our critical incident response team, tactical support group, containment team, police dog services, provincial general investigation section, remotely piloted aircraft system, and detachment members. We also had assistance from Regina Police Services SWAT program. There were more than 30 police vehicles along with 2 tactical vehicles at the scene. There were approximately 8 RVs parked on the property. A team of officers cleared the RVs, while another team methodically cleared the building from one side to the other. Officers arrested 17 individuals. 10 were arrested inside the building, 6 were arrested in the RVs, and 1 was arrested outside a residence in Richmond. The buildings were cleared and all individuals were arrested by 6 a.m. The next phase of the investigation is now in its early stages. Investigators are still in the process of searching the building, collecting evidence, and interviewing those arrested. At this time, no charges have been laid. As of the last update from investigators, which was received at 11:30 this morning, we have located and seized 4 replica handguns, 1 inside the building and 3 inside vehicles. While clearing the property, officers observed modifications that had been made to the existing structure. We notified fire investigators with the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, who are now engaged in their own investigation.
Can you explain the large response, having report of 1 firearm at the building, why was it necessary to deploy so many officers and so many different resources?
Right, so the investigation was initiated with the report of 1 firearm. As I mentioned, that investigation commenced on August 25th. Throughout the course of the investigation, further evidence was gathered in order to meet the threshold of gathering a search warrant to enter the property and execute it. And with that, risk assessment is done. There's a lot of unknowns that we face day to day in our job, and when a firearm is present, we do have to consider that the potential that more exist. And there's an ongoing risk assessment that is done by a lot of our experienced senior officers in order to make sure that we are considering public safety along with police safety when executing any search warrant.
Are you able to confirm that Romana Didulo was one of those who was arrested?
So what I can say is that one of the individuals that was inside the building identified herself as Romana Didulo, which was, as I understand, live streamed as it happened. So she presented herself and identified herself as that and released it to the public. So I can confirm that she is in custody. But beyond that, I can't identify anybody else.
And I'm just wondering about the school itself. Is RCMP doing anything, or what's being done to prevent the school from being occupied again?
So we're not really in the business of preventing people from occupying specific places specifically. However, in this particular case, we did notify Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency, and the fire investigators are doing a parallel investigation. The RCMP could potentially put conditions on people not to go back. However, no charges have been laid, and those conditions cannot be laid unless somebody is under a court process. My understanding from speaking with the people on scene, they were able to execute the search warrant with no issues from the people that were there. That is subject to change, but there's no reports at this point in time of gunfire being exchanged between either the people on the property or ourselves.
So I can tell you for sure that Romana is one of the ones in custody. I did see a little bit more of that Grady footage.
On June 11th, 2024.
Stop. And yeah, she's one of the ones hooked up.
This morning at approximately 4:30 a.m., Saskatchewan RCMP executed
Leave the phone down. You're under arrest.
All right.
The RCMP arrest of the woman who calls herself the Queen of Canada, captured by her own phone during a live stream.
Down on the ground, please.
Romana Didulo and 15 others were taken into custody after a raid involving some 30 police cars, 2 tactical vehicles, drones, and a pair of SWAT units.
The next phase of the investigation is now in its early stages. Investigators are still in the process of searching the building, collecting evidence, and interviewing those arrested.
Police say the operation was sparked by reports of an individual with a firearm. They say they seized 4 replica handguns. For 2 years, Didulo and her followers have lived in a former school in the village of Richmond, population just over 100 and 365 kilometers west of Regina. In July, the village office closed its doors to the public outside pre-arranged appointments due to harassment and intimidation of staff.
It's so great that we have finally gotten some movement.
I can't imagine how relieved the locals are. I also can't imagine their frustration over the lack of the RCMP doing anything about it, because my understanding is that these people, whenever they're around, they're pests. They're pests. They just terrorize the people around them, and they're basically a nuisance. It's a tiny, tiny town, and I bet they've been frustrated that the RCMP has just not done anything to get them out. I mean, it could be that the RCMP doesn't have the ability to do anything because I think they had permission from the property owners to be there, and I think that's what their frustration is. But the fact that they just couldn't do anything when it came to like threatening letters, yeah. I can't imagine the relief at this moment.
It's been like, a lot of the community members are very, very frustrated.
Saskatchewan isn't their first home. She and her followers have moved across Canada. In Peterborough, Ontario, some of them were charged for trying to arrest local police officers. Didulo says she was just an observer. The group is on the radar of some who monitor cults.
So she tells them that she is the ultimate authority.
Hey, I try so much to get this lady on to talk to her. Dr. Sarteshi, if you're watching this live stream, I would love to talk to you on a live stream. I know my viewers will love to talk to you, but no, you want to go to more reputable media outlets. I'm just kidding. I appreciate your work. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Authority that she is the ruler under natural law. She is effectively the supreme ruler of all the land. She tells them they don't have to pay taxes.
The group is tied to the QAnon movement, believing Canada's laws do not apply to them, and has expressed violent anti-vaccination messages. RCMP in Saskatchewan say they have 24 hours after an arrest to lay charges. In the meantime, provincial agencies are conducting their own investigations, which could rule that the building is uninhabitable. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
But that is also the other, probably the other reason why they are finally being able to take action, is because they could probably condemn the building. Because I don't think the building had like running water, electricity, or anything like that. Because obviously not. They don't pay for any of that. So, yeah. This one might just be...
Thank you for reserving them until the question and answer period. Bonjour, je vous remercie de participer à la conférence de presse aujourd'hui. Je suis le sergent Sophie Bachmeyer et
it's that demon language.
Voici l'inspecteur Ashley St. Germain. Elle vous fournira après nos décès de les...
Oh God, it's still going!
4:30 a.m., Saskatchewan RCMP executed a search warrant in Richmond, Saskatchewan. It was a privately owned, decommissioned school inhabited by a group of individuals. The search warrant was obtained after we received a report of an individual occupying the building was in possession of a firearm. That report was received on August 25th, 2025. After receiving this report, Saskatchewan RCMP began an extensive investigation. This included careful monitoring of any risk to public safety and to the community of Richmond. A team of skilled and experienced senior officers was established to oversee this large and complex operation. This response was made up of RCMP officers from throughout the province.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the $10.
Including our critical incident response team, tactical support group, containment team.
All right, I think this is just recapping the press conference. So I think we got the gist of what's going on here. I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't know if there's any significant updates in the past 24 hours. Oh my God, he's such a fucking moron. Here we go. This is in CBC. Two people remain in custody following RCMP's raid of the Queen of Canada cult. 16 people were arrested. Oh, wow. Saskatchewan RCMP have not laid any charges against the people arrested in the compound. Village of 120 people. About 365 kilometers west of Regina, near the Alberta border. All 16 were released from custody, and then a man and woman were rearrested. RCMP said in a statement on Thursday, is not known if cult leader Romana Didulo is in custody, as RCMP declined to comment. Officer sees 13 imitation semi-automatic handguns, ammunition, and a large number of electronic devices during a search of the compound. Decommissioned elementary school, where they've been living for 2 years. Since the cult, led by self-professed Queen of Canada, Didulo, has been based in Richmond, there have been a number of complaints from locals who accuse the group of harassing people and plotting to take over the town. Didulo, a town of 130 people. That is tiny, tiny. Damn. Yesterday, police executed an early morning raid on a privately owned property, which has a large extensive security system. Fake guns are serious things here. So that's where we're at the moment. Oh, excuse me. Wait, is this the same one that I just covered? Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. So 2 people have been rearrested. It's not clear whether one of them is Didulo or herself. I'm curious to see how that works. I'll obviously keep you guys updated on it. But this is kind of the main thrust of today's live stream. Tomorrow I'm probably going to go live. I especially after my sickness last weekend, I definitely want to take this weekend a lot easier. You guys don't know, I got food poisoning over the Labor Day weekend on Sunday evening. I was basically out of commission all of Monday. I'm feeling better now for sure. I'm back to normal, but it was not fun. I think the strongest source is the taco place that's nearby, so I feel like I'm apprehensive about going back there. Yeah. Not fun. So I guess right now I'm gonna call it here. Again, I'll keep you guys updated. Tomorrow, the other thing I also want to do tomorrow is, I am going to have to talk about the channel, and some of the limitations I'm going to have to place on it, as a result of my new position. It's going to have to happen. I wish it didn't have to happen, but it's actually have to happen, and this time it's not like a clickbait thing. But I don't want to go into that now. We'll talk about that later. But I appreciate you guys. The channel's not dying. I'm not deleting the whole channel. Don't worry about that. But I am going to have to make some significant departures on content, I guess is the best way of saying it. Okay. All right. I hope you guys have a good one. Have a good rest of your night. And yeah, you guys take care of yourself. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye. See you later. Actually, ironically enough, sea shanties may be the one thing that could still go on, but that's, yeah. Well, all right, we're not gonna. All right, bye.